So, folks, we do have to start today's show by talking about Mitch McConnell, a Mitch update, if you will. And this Mitch is feeling the heat. And, I do think that it's a little interesting that still Mitch McConnell hasn't made any kind of appearance on video, hasn't called into a talk show, hasn't done anything to indicate that he's actually goddamn alive. And Andy Beshear is now actively laying down the gauntlet. Speaker resign. Beshear ups demand for McConnell health status. And Andy Beshear's been sending Mitch McConnell letters. This is one of the, I think the second letter so far that he has sent publicly to Mitch McConnell. And I understand anyone's desire for privacy, but when you run for office and serve as one of the state's 2 U.S. senators, you willingly abdicate much of your personal privacy. That's the deal. We all know it when we run. All of this speculation and even this letter could have been avoided with a minimal amount of transparency. Kentuckians are just asking you to be honest. And interestingly, John Thune's office and Mitch McConnell's office didn't return any requests for comment. And what's quite interesting is that where we're at right now, I do want to throw out a correction, which is that it used to be in Kentucky until 2021 that the governor could just appoint someone to that seat. At the urging of then Senator Mitch McConnell, who was still very much alive, the law got changed by Kentucky's then governor and state level legislature in order to call for a special election if someone, say Mitch McConnell, happened to die in office. What's interesting here is I think Republicans might be afraid of what a special election would entail. Because I've been quoting older laws that I had read about in the past. That law was passed in 2021. So the governor can no longer just appoint someone to the spot. But that does beg the question, what kind of internal polling does the GOP have on Mitch McConnell's seat and Kentucky in general that they would be afraid to call a special election? Because everything that we know right now is that the Democrat in a special election in Kentucky would get shellacked. But if that was the case and Mitch McConnell wasn't able to actually serve, why not run a special election now? Very interesting stuff happening. Very, very interesting. Here's Andy Beshear here making the case.
Well, do I understand it correctly that August 3rd is a...
God, we got some truly leftist audio here. This is what I get for prepping the show on my phone, where I can't tell if it's leftist audio or not. There we go.
Key deadline here that if Mitch McConnell continues in this capacity through the 3rd, then you will not have an opportunity to name a replacement until an actual election is held.
There's an argument out there that that's a date where I could not later call a special election. And for those that are really pushing this...
Will you challenge that?
Well, a lot of those that are pushing this are online and I think are under the impression that a Democrat in Kentucky might be able to win that election. It's been since 1992 that we have had a Democratic senator in Kentucky. You mentioned a lot of missed votes. I want to point out some other missed votes that might not be a bad thing. He hasn't been there to vote on the SAVE Act, which would tear voting rights away. He hasn't been there to vote to support this war in Iran that this president started and shouldn't be continuing. He's not there to vote for a potential replacement of a Supreme Court justice to continue a court that would tear down the Voting Rights Act. So listen, when you look at some of this, a vacancy, not having Mitch McConnell show up isn't necessarily a bad thing, because he certainly doesn't show up to help the American people.
Well,
Sorry, also, I said 2021 this law was passed. It was passed in 2024, overriding Andy Beshear's veto. That being said, there is there is a legal argument to be made that that law might be counter to the Constitution of Kentucky. But again, that would then be a real legal battle that could determine whether or not that seat would actually be Democrat or Republican. So that is kind of the issue here. It's whether or not Andy Beshear is going to go ahead, bulldoze forward, name a replacement for the Senate anyway over this Republican law, and then fight it out in court to try and say, actually, it is unconstitutional according to our state constitution, and I can, in fact, name someone to this spot. It's very, very odd. Like, all of this is weird, because if ever there was a time for someone who is eyeing a 2028 election for the presidency, which Andy Beshear absolutely is, he's one of those guys who's like, maybe I could be the dark horse candidate, like John Ossoff, you know? If ever there was a time to try and make your name and stake your flag, this would be it. Getting a Democrat in the U.S. Senate right now would mean a whole lot. So his trepidation here, I think, is understandable, because he's trying to build a framework around which he can justify this kind of legal challenge. But it also comes down to, you know, how big a fight are you willing to actually put up? Because when you start looking at what it would take to replace Mitch McConnell, it's not just Andy Beshear appoints someone and then there's a legal battle, because it would also depend on Republicans being willing to seat said appointed senator, which is also dubious. Many of you may remember not that long ago, there was another, there was a Democrat that was elected in a special election, and Republicans kept punting her seating for like over a month. So, like, all of this is like, I understand why there is trepidation, because it would be a fight not just against, the law of the land in Kentucky, but also a fight in the Senate itself. It would be a colossal political clusterfuck, which honestly might be to the benefit of Democrats in this case, because anything that slows down the daily order as daily order as usual in Congress right now and delays Republican action is probably a good thing for the country as a whole. It's quite an interesting situation we find ourselves in, and it really still all centers around if Mitch McConnell is able and willing to do his job, why isn't he calling into shows or going outside and getting in front of a podium and cameras? Like that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like, I understand some injuries can be quite severe and can preclude that. But like, if someone is injured so badly that they cannot get in front of a camera or tell other people what is wrong, then they are unfit to do the job that they were elected to do. You know, it's interesting to say the least. So anyway, that's been your Mitch McConnell update for the day. Can't wait to see how this progresses. And yeah, if I was someone on Mitch McConnell's team, the sooner you can get him in front of a camera talking, the better. All that being said, folks, if you got anything out of this, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. Let me know, what do you think? Hashtag is Mitch dead? And I feel like I should make a lot of inappropriate puns as like hashtags, but I will restrain myself for now. Anyway, do all that, and folks, get involved in your local political scene. Join your local Dems, join your local DSA, get involved, because it is genuinely the best way we can build political power and make things better in this country for ourselves, our neighbors, our friends, our families, and the people we care about. So get involved. today. If you need help getting started, join our Discord. Reach out to GamerG for help joining DSA. Reach out to Dragonfly for help getting involved with your local Dems. And we have organizing communities for folks who've joined their local Democratic Party and their local DSA. So get involved. We want to hook you up with all the folks who are likewise organizing. And last but not least, check out ImogeneOlivia.com. Gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes, tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. It is comfortable, sexy, non-tucking lingerie.
Hashtag dead in a ditch McConnell.
Hashtag is this Mitch dead?
Riverboat Jack is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.